Welcome back to Megan Chitwood Live, powered by BNI. In this episode, we are going to talk about processes. I know it doesn't sound so sexy, but I promise you by the end of today, you'll have a few little techniques that you can use to make your life a little bit easier. Both, I'm going to give you both in your business as well as personal life. So let's get started. All right, so we did just have a time change. So we come to you every week at now 11 o'clock Central Time, and we are on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter live, and then we do have replays on both LinkedIn and Instagram. So let's get started. So I was once talking to a business owner, and he said, "Do you know what every business owner wants?" And I said, a business that runs by itself so they don't have to worry about it anymore. And he said, "No, systems." And I thought, what? Who wants systems? Nobody wants systems. And he says, "No, everyone knows that they really, really need systems." So today I want to talk to you about how I have used this in my life in general, because I have actually used systems in a lot of different ways. And I happen to have a brain that works system wise. I can just kind of like look at something. I'm doing that right now, actually, as a volunteer for my children's school. And I'm looking at a project that we have going on and saying to myself, what am I missing? I feel like this is so simple, yet other people are saying it's so complicated. What am I missing? Just really like, what am I missing? So first, let's talk about systems and why they are so important. And both Mark Zuckerberg and many, many other very successful people talk about how you can ultimately get decision fatigue. So several of them, Steve Jobs is another great example. They all used to wear the exact same clothes, or still do, wear the exact same clothes so that they don't have to make another decision. And so when you are super busy, and a lot of small business owners and sales professionals are, when you're super busy, I find that we try and squeeze seconds out of minutes. It's not one of those things where we have like large sweeping swaths of time that we have available to us. We're literally saying, how can I cram in just one more thing, just one more thing, just one more thing? And so these super successful people started to figure out that they can have decision fatigue. So trying to figure out what they're going to wear every day is one more decision that they have to make. This came to light to me this week, actually. I'm having one of the busiest weeks I've had in a really, really long time, between being a mom, a volunteer for my children's school, obviously BNI, and I am working on another project as well. And it's just been a super, super duper busy week. And what I started to realize is when someone would ask me, like, where do you want to go to dinner? I'm like, I don't really care. It can be anywhere and I will eat anything, but I don't want to have to make the decision. I don't have the capacity to make one more decision as to where I'm going to eat. And I think a lot of us start to get that way, or we end up in a spot where we're so busy, we don't even know what to do next. So we spend a lot of time trying to think about, what am I supposed to do next? And that, in my world, makes me waste a whole lot of time, because I will sit here for 10 minutes thinking about what I'm supposed to do next, when if I already knew what I was doing next, I would have been spending 10 more minutes on the thing that I was trying to accomplish, which would probably get me a better result because I would have more time to work on it. So that's why systems are so important, is it helps reduce decision points, and it helps you just jump in and know what to do next. So let me give you a couple of examples. So I'll give you a personal example. When my husband and I first got married, he was big on eating at home. I was big on eating out because I was not the person who cooked, but he did cook. Even when he was single, he cooked a lot. So he was, we are going to have meals at home. I'm like, okay, all right, got it. So on a Sunday afternoon, we would sit down and we would first have to arm wrestle over what are we going to eat. So two people trying to figure out what are we going to eat. Then we would have to arm wrestle over, okay, where is the recipe for said thing that we are going to eat? And then we would have to make a grocery list on the thing. And then we would have to go to the grocery store and so on. And what I found was we were spending so much time just trying to even figure out what we were going to eat. And I thought to myself, there has got to be a better way to get this accomplished. And I'm not one who loves like Taco Tuesday every single week. We do actually really like variety. So I sat down and I said, there's got to be a better way. There just has to be a better way to do this. So I started looking around for options. Could we get an app where we put in all the meals we like to eat, and then we can pick a meal, and then we can get a grocery list within that. There are apps that do that. I looked at, just having a recipe printed out. So we would always have the recipe, and then it was a little bit easier to write down the grocery list. And me and my engineering brain just kept working at it and kept working at it and kept working at it. And then I found eMeals, eMeals, in case you're interested, eMeals.com. And eMeals will you can pick all different types of meals. You can types. So we do Eat Clean. And now we have a family. So we do Eat Clean for 4 to 5 people. And we sign up for what type of meal we want. You can even do budget. There's all kinds. And now what it looks like is we sit down on a Sunday afternoon. They have given us 7 options for 7 different meals. We don't do that. We double up and we eat the same 2 things. And we sit down and we say, what do we like? Oh, we don't like anything on this? Okay, great. We've got our favorites. We can pick from our favorites. We pick the 2 meals. It builds the grocery list for us. We then look through, and by we, Sean does most of this. He's absolutely wonderful and fabulous. But we go through, then we say, check off all the things we already have at the house, and then we go to the grocery store. And on top of it, it puts it all in order of the grocery store that you attend. So we have taken meal planning from being a painful 2-hour thing for us to, no kidding, we can get it done start to finish in about 45 minutes, including drive time to the grocery store. So I'm constantly thinking about how do we streamline this? I've streamlined my children waking up in the morning and getting through the day or getting ready for school. We know I have a list of the 3 things I have to make sure that they get done every single morning. I've created these systems in place so that I don't have to think about what am I supposed to do next. I just have the thing, I have the list. Now, Sean, my wonderful husband, can do all of this in his head. I cannot. I have lists, I have checklists, I have timers, I have alarms, I have all of those things. But all of those are systems that I have so that I don't have to sit down and go like, I think there's one more thing, because that actually kind of makes my head hurt when I have to really remember every single thing. So I write it all down and I plan it all out. One of the best things when I look at so that's my example from my personal life. So one of the best tools that I've ever found for helping me do this on a continuous basis is called the Full Focus Planner. I'm not an affiliate for any of these things. These are all things that I use that have been unbelievably helpful to me. But the Full Focus Planner, what it does is it helps me figure out what my plan is, what my goals are for the year. And then I take each of those, I figure out what am I going to do this quarter. So I do quarterly planning every single quarter, coming upon the next quarter. We're going into the 4th quarter of the year. And I sit down and I think about what are my annual goals? Because I've got those annual goals, what is my quarterly goal to help support that annual goal? And the Full Focus Planner then takes me through the exercise of saying, okay, write it down in a smart way, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, I can't remember the M, and timely, smart. So it's all, sorry, the R, relative, right? I do relative. So how is it relative to my overall life plan that I want to have? What do I want my life to look like? Is it supportive of that? And so I sit down and I do my quarterly planning and I say, what am I going to get accomplished this quarter? It also helps me write down, since this is my goal. So let's say one that I accomplished at the beginning of this year, in the first quarter of this year, was a health goal that I had. And how I accomplished that was I wrote down the steps I had to take in order to make that goal happen. So the steps were, it was tracking what I was eating. It was exercising daily. It was drinking enough water. It was, and as I was tracking my meals, I had a system to keep track of all of that. So I knew if I was heading towards my goal or not heading toward my goal. Because I wrote all the steps down at one time, I can then go back and refer to that and say, all right, that one's done. What do I have to do next? What do I have to do next? And then once I've got that set up quarterly, on a weekly basis, I go in and say, what is the thing that I have to do this week? What are the 3 things I have to do this week to accomplish my quarterly goals? I have about 3 quarterly goals. So it might be one of each thing to reach that quarterly goal. It might also be, I'm behind on a goal, so I need to do these 2 things for that goal. This goal I'm going to let go for this week. And then, so I pick my top 3 for the week, top 3 for the week. Once I have that top 3 for the week, I then pick my top 3 daily that's going to get me towards my top 3 for the week. Okay. So I've just got all of those. I've got all of that very, very well outlined. Then each day I plan for the next day. So what is happening the next day? What does my calendar have in it? I time block any time that I'm not in a meeting. I time block, this is the time that I'm going to work on this particular activity. So I know exactly what to do next. I do all this myself. And my dream is to have someone who can actually like drop all this stuff into my calendar for me, but I've never been able to actually pull that off yet. But when I come in the next day, I know exactly what my day looks like. I don't have to think because I've done all my thinking in my planning time the day before. I don't have to think. I come in and I do. And when I come in and I do, I tend to get much more accomplished. And I tend to get to be able to, I just tend to be able to accomplish much, much more when I follow all of those steps. I'm not great at doing this every single day. Don't think I'm perfect at all. I did get myself the reputation of getting a lot of things accomplished in a short amount of time. And it is because about 30% of the time, I'm really great at using my full focus planner. I mean, literally, it's 30%, and I appear to be very, very, very productive and get a lot accomplished. So that is a simple system that I use. Like I said, I love the full focus planner system. You can Google it and find it. They literally give you videos if you sign up for their email list on how to accomplish that. I do love the planner myself, but if you want to just kind of go through that thought process, all of the things that you need in dramatic detail are there. So that's what I use as my system for personal, professional, bringing it all together. This week has been, like I said, quite a challenging week, quite a busy week. I've been laughing and saying I'm trying to be Wonder Woman and I'm failing miserably, but I'm trying my hardest to be Wonder Woman and get everything accomplished. And the one thing that I'm noticing is I'm not writing down all of the stuff that has to get done to then be able to plan when it is going to get done. And so if I can write down everything as it comes to me and say, that thing I've got to do. That thing I've got to do. If I know I have it on paper, then I don't have to think about it. I can just go to the piece of paper and say, all right, now it's all about prioritizing what I'm doing in order to achieve whatever I need to achieve. So like I said, it's an absolute great system. Now let's take this like full on into your business. There are things in your business that you do regularly. There are things in your business, if you do anything at least 2 times, and you know you've done it twice, and you know you're going to do it again, you need to turn it into a system. Not because you couldn't figure it out again, but you need to turn it into a system so that you don't have to think so hard, and you don't have to reinvent what you're doing every single time. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I bring on a new client. Okay. I bring in my world, bring on a new member. I bring on a new client, and I know to make their experience unbelievably wonderful, there are 10 things I need to do. I can stumble through those 10 things or let them happen by happenstance, or I can write down those 10 things. And every single time I get a new client, I can pull that out and I can take them through those. I can take them through those 10 things. So think about that as you're going through your day. Sit back and say, how many times have I done this before? If you've done it a lot and you're feeling like you need to figure it out again, that is something you need to document and you need to move forward. Because the creative time that you spend, the time that you really want to spend really working through something with your brain, that creative time, you want to end up getting as much of that creative time as you possibly can. That's when you move your business forward. That's when you innovate. That's when you create something new, is when you have that time to space out. Don't waste that brain power on something that you do repetitively. Use that brain power towards something you are doing for the first time so you can think about that. So what does this look like in everyday world? I literally start to notice this now. Oh my gosh, I've done this before. How often do I do it? Especially, I do it once a month. Okay, if I do it once a month, I got to write down the steps, because otherwise I'm going to have to really think this through again. So writing down each of those steps. I was just doing this last night. There was a certain report that I wanted, certain data that I wanted to look at on a consistent basis. And it was a report that I had to create. So I got data from a system and I had to create this report. Oh, I didn't write down how to do it. And I literally probably took 15 minutes just trying to figure out what was the report that I needed to then get the data that I needed to then create the thing that I needed. That's 15 minutes that was brain power and frustration that I should have never had, because if I knew I wanted that data every single month, I needed to write down the steps. And that's what I did last night. Was these are the steps you're going to follow next time you need to do this. So next month, when I've forgotten how to do it again, I just pull out those steps and I walk through them. And then I can spend all my creative time on what activity am I going to do with the data that I'm looking at. I know some of you aren't so data driven. I get it. It's okay. You might not be looking at data, but you might be sitting down daydreaming and thinking about, what do I want to do with my business next? How am I going to scale? What new customer do I want to go for? For your BNI people, like, what am I going to talk about this week? What's my weekly presentation going to look like? What's my feature presentation going to look like? Who's a good referral that I could get? Those are creative things that you want to have at your fingertips. But how do I walk through and onboard a new customer? That needs to be well documented, because if it's not documented and you miss a step, you might not be giving the best possible outcome to your new client that you could potentially have. So that's a way. So like I said, I literally sit back and I say, am I going to do this more in the future? If the answer is yes, I'm going to write down what my steps are so that I can pull that out. And then I can do that very, very easily and I can move forward. So every single time I think about that, that's one of the things you have. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, Megan, I know you are an engineer and I know your brain works this way, but my brain doesn't work that way. Thus, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Number one, it will hurt as you do it. It will be painful as you do it. It's actually very, very exhausting for me as I do it. I know I look like sometimes I sound like I'm really engineering. I'm not. It is an energy drain when I do it, but I do it because I know it's going to be better in the future. And here's why you want to do it as a business owner. A business that has systems and processes in place is worth more than a business that doesn't. If you want to sell me your business and you can say, here you go, this is how you do this, and this is how you do this, and this is how you do this, and I can step in and I can operate your business because you have that established, your business is worth more. And because your business is worth more, retirement could be a little bit more fun, right? Because you could potentially sell your business for more. So that's one of the big reasons why you want to actually have systems within your business, is so that you can have a business that's worth a higher value. But it also makes your business less frustrating as you go through, because it'll help you scale your business as well. So let's say I'm a solopreneur and I'm working through all my processes, and I realize my time is full. I can't do any more. My time is full, or more than full. I'm working 7 days a week, 70 hours a week. When you get to that point, if you've documented things that you are doing on a regular basis, that is an easy way to bring on a new person. And then you can say, I need you to do these 10 things, because they don't take your skill as the business owner. You can do these 10 things for me. That frees up more of your time to then be able to apply that to expanding your business, growing your business, whatever you want to do with your business. Okay. So if you're thinking about growing your business and your business is growing and you're starting to think like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to scale. One of the fastest ways to scale is to just start documenting things that you can do, and then you can pass those things off. I've had a great experience just recently. I'm bringing on a virtual assistant. And with that virtual assistant organization that I'm working with to get some things off my plate that someone else could do, we are literally recording how I do something. So basically all I do is hop on a Zoom meeting and click record, or if you have a screen sharing like Camtasia or something like that, you literally can sit down and you can just do the work and talk about it as you're doing it. I go to this report. What I'm looking for is, I then pull the report. I then create this. Once I create that, this is what I'm looking for. If you act as if you are teaching someone else what you're doing as you record it, then you've got the system. You've got the system. It's done. It's a training video for someone else to be able to do something for you. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how easy is this? All I have to do is get really clean recordings of me doing the activity that I'm doing anyway, and then I can move forward with it. The next step then, if you want to create a real operations manual for your business, is to take that video and then walk through and turn it into instructions where you're saying, this is what I do next, which is what your audio said. And you can even put in screenshots from your video so that you can show exactly what certain things look like as well. Similarly, we did this with engineering work when I first started my career, and it was how do you change a valve? How do you change this? How do you change that? So it wasn't on a computer, but you can nowadays. I wish we had this when I started. Oh my gosh, it's almost 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it was weird to pull, like, you had to have a video camera to video something, but now you can pull out your phone and you can video someone doing the activity, so that someone else, you could send that video to me and say, this is how you put it together. And I could watch that video and I could do that as you're talking through it. So these are just some simple ways that you can start systemizing. One of the things that I'm super passionate about, especially as a BNI executive director, is I believe that small business owners really need to build a business that's sellable. You might not want to sell it. You might want to give it to your child. You might want to do whatever. But if you're building a business to make it sellable, then you will always have retirement as an option, right? If you can sell your business for a good chunk of money, that can turn into your retirement. Was just talking to someone this week, and that's exactly what her parents were doing. Her parents were building a business, and I said, oh, they're not going to pass it down to you? And she said, absolutely not. My dad said this is their retirement. So they're going to sell their business and retire off the proceeds of that sale of business. And again, systems and processes make life easier today for you, because you can do things faster. Makes it easier for you to hire someone because you know exactly what you're going to give them when the time comes, and you've already got the training materials to give them that information that they need to move forward. And then if you've got all of that wrapped up, when you go to sell your business, it's worth more, because I can step in and operate it without question, because I know exactly how to do it. If you have everything in your head, and I buy your business, you have to then take the time to share all that information with me. So one, you don't get to ride off into the sunset and have fun. But also it just, when you're gone, I can't operate the business properly. So it just reduces the value there. So again, I know this might be a little bit of advanced topic, but you can use it. I use all the things that I talked about. I use in my personal life. I use these concepts in how am I going to get through this weekend when we have scouts and we have parties and we have all those things. And oh, by the way, I'm sure there's something I've got to do for me. These are the kinds of systems that I put in place so that I can be highly, highly efficient. But I'm also thinking in terms of how can I make my business more effective? How can I easily hire help when I need it? And how can I ultimately build a business that's going to bring huge value to my life and how that is. So hopefully you got some interesting tips out of it. And I talk about this kind of thing. If you search for me, you find videos or podcasts or things like this. I'm talking about this a lot with people because really helping you focus, achieve your goals through like the full focus planner, but also really thinking about how can you really scale your business. This is going to be a huge one for you as you move forward. So with that, that's what I've got for today. That's how I use systems and processes to be most effective and efficient. And so next week, we are going to be back to having guests, and I'm super pumped. Tammy Hawley from the West Alabama Chamber of Commerce is going to be with us. We're going to be talking about how BNI and the chamber work together well. We're also going to be talking about how chambers can get involved with BNI confidently, because Tammy is going to talk about what were the concerns she had as a chamber member or a chamber representative coming into BNI, because sometimes we can be perceived as networking adversaries. But in fact, I grew my business in the very beginning when I moved to Huntsville by joining the chamber, joining BNI, and using them together. And we want to create more of that for everyone. So with that, I will see you all next week at our new time at 11 o'clock Central. And thank you so much for watching.